Nobody wanted the Toothless dog until one family walked into the shelter. If I had listened to the shelter volunteer, I never would have met the Toothless dog everyone else had already given up on. My name is Claire Thompson, and the day I said those words out loud was the day everything in my life shifted just slightly towards something softer and better, even if I did not realize it at first. The morning when my family walked into a small shelter in Ohio and met the dog nobody wanted. I am a white American woman in my mid-30s, living in a quiet suburb outside Columbus, Ohio, where the mailboxes are lined up neatly and the lawns are always being cut just a little too short. My husband, Adam, is also a white American, the kind of man who wears simple shirts and lives for Saturday morning pancakes and little jokes that make our kids roll their eyes and laugh at the same time. Our two children, Lily and Jacob, are white American kids who carry the easy brightness of a life spent riding bikes down cul-de-sacs and arguing over who gets the last chocolate chip cookie. On the surface, we could have easily passed for any other family in our neighborhood, but inside our house, there was a quiet emptiness that had been growing for months. It began when our old golden retriever, Daisy, passed away. Daisy had been with us since before Lily was born, back when Adam and I were still newlyweds, trying to figure out how to assemble flat-pack furniture without arguing. Daisy saw us through every phase: the late nights with crying babies, the first days of elementary school, the promotion that had us moving from a tiny apartment in the city to this quiet corner of Ohio. She was the dog who slept at the foot of our bed and knew how to nudge my hand gently anytime my thoughts drifted somewhere heavy. When Daisy died after a long illness, the house felt different in a way that was hard to describe. It was not just the silence. It was the absence of the soft click of her paws on the hardwood floor, the missing weight of her head resting on my knees when I sat on the couch to fold laundry, the empty space next to the back door where her food and water bowls had always been. For months, none of us talked much about getting another dog. It felt disloyal somehow, like wanting to fill a place that could never really be filled. But time, in its quiet way, moved on. Lily started 6th grade. Jacob learned to shoot a basketball into the hoop at the park without missing every time. Adam got busier at work, and I found myself staring more often at the corner of the kitchen where Daisy's stainless steel bowls once sat. The emptiness did not fade. It just settled in. One Sunday afternoon in early fall, when the air in Ohio had that crispness that makes the sky look bluer than usual, Lily brought up the idea of visiting the local animal shelter. We were sitting at the dining table, half-finished homework scattered between us, a plate of apple slices in the middle. "Mom," she said, tracing circles into the margin of her worksheet, "do you think Daisy would be mad if we got another dog?" I felt my throat tighten a little. "I don't think Daisy could ever be mad at us," I said. "She loved seeing us happy." "But it would not be like we were replacing her," Jacob added, pushing his glasses up his nose. "It would just be having more love, right?" I looked at my son, at the hopeful tilt of his head, at Lily's cautious eyes watching my face for clues. They were both white American children who had never once had to worry about whether there would be food on the table or a roof over their heads. But they had experienced loss in the way only children with their first beloved pet gone can understand. It had left a mark on each of them, a quiet softness around the edges of their voices when they talked about Daisy. "Maybe we could just go look," Adam suggested that night at dinner. He said it casually, as if he were suggesting we stop at the hardware store, but I could hear the careful note in his voice. Adam had loved Daisy deeply too. After she died, I found him one evening sitting on the floor in the garage, holding her old tennis ball in his hands. He had not cried in front of the kids, but his eyes had been red when he finally came inside. "Just look," I repeated, as much to myself as to anyone else. "No promises. We are not bringing a dog home tomorrow. We are just going to see." The kids agreed quickly, too quickly, their eyes lighting up in a way I had not seen since before Daisy got sick. The next morning, a Saturday, we piled into our gray minivan, the one with crumbs permanently lodged in the cup holders and a faded school bumper sticker on the back. The sky was overcast but bright, a typical Ohio sky that promised neither rain nor sunshine with any certainty. The county animal shelter was about 20 minutes away, tucked off a 2-lane road near a cluster of trees that turned beautiful shades of red and gold in the fall. As we drove, the kids excitedly discussed what kind of dog they hoped to see. "I want one with floppy ears," Lily said, pressing her forehead to the window as fields and strip malls rolled past. "I want a dog that can learn tricks," Jacob added. "Like one of those dogs that can catch a frisbee or bring the newspaper." "I want a dog that does not chew up my shoes," Adam said, glancing at me with a little smile. "I am still not over what Daisy did to my running shoes in 2015. I laughed, the sound surprising me. It felt good to laugh about Daisy, instead of only feeling that small ache in my chest. "We will see," I said. "Remember, we are just looking today. We want to be sure we choose the right fit for our family if we eventually decide to adopt." I said the words, but deep inside, I knew the truth. If we made a connection with a dog, if we saw a pair of eyes that made our hearts twist, eventually might turn into right now very quickly. The shelter building was a low, beige structure with a simple sign out front that read Franklin County Animal Shelter in dark blue letters. A tall chain-link fence surrounded the outdoor dog runs. As we pulled into the parking lot, we saw a couple walking out the front door with a medium-sized tan dog on a leash. The dog's tail wagged so hard its whole back end swayed, and the woman laughed as it tried to tug her toward their car. "Looks like someone is going home today," Adam said softly. "That is a good sign." The kids practically bounced out of the van before I had even unbuckled my seatbelt. I stepped out and took a deep breath. The air smelled like damp leaves and the distant scent of something cooking from a restaurant down the road. I felt a strange mixture of excitement and nervousness, like I was about to make a decision that would change something invisible but important in our lives. Inside, the shelter lobby was small, but clean. Flyers lined a corkboard on one wall, advertising vaccination clinics, low-cost spay and neuter services, and a fundraiser for the shelter. A white American woman at the front desk, whose name tag read Debbie, greeted us with a warm smile. She had short, light brown hair and kind eyes. "Welcome to Franklin County Animal Shelter," she said. "Are you here to look at dogs today?" "Yes," I replied. "We are thinking about adopting, but we are just looking for now." "That is great," she said. "I am a white American from right here in Ohio, and I have adopted all my pets from shelters. I might be a little biased, but I think shelter dogs are the best. I will have one of our staff members show you back to the kennels. Just a heads up, it can be a little loud at first, but they are all very sweet." She handed us a simple clipboard with a form to fill out, asking basic questions about our home, whether we had a fenced yard, and what kind of dog we were looking for. I hesitated at that last question, then wrote carefully, "Friendly, good with kids, calm, medium energy." After a few minutes, another staff member appeared, a tall white American man named Tyler, with sandy hair pulled into a low ponytail and a gentle, patient voice. "Hi, I am Tyler," he said. "I will take you back to see the dogs. Do you have any preferences? Big, small, young, old?" We are pretty open, I said, thinking quickly. We do have kids, so we would like a dog that is good with children. Got it, he said with a nod. Well, we can walk through and see who you connect with. Sometimes, the dog picks you more than the other way around. The kids grinned at each other. Come on, Mom, Lily whispered, tugging my sleeve. Let us go see them. We followed Tyler through a heavy door into the main kennel area. He was right about the noise. As soon as the door opened, a chorus of barking rose around us, echoing off the concrete walls. Metal kennels lined both sides of a long hallway, each holding 1 or 2 dogs. Some jumped excitedly against the gates as we passed, tails wagging furiously, paws scrabbling at the metal. Others hung back, eyes watching us cautiously from the corners of their enclosures. The air smelled faintly of disinfectant and dog fur, with a subtle, earthy warmth beneath it all. Remember, it can be a little overwhelming for them, Tyler said over the sound of barking. Try to look at their body language more than the noise. Some of the loudest ones are actually the sweetest once they are out of the kennel. We moved slowly down the aisle. The first kennel held a young black and white dog with a patch over one eye, who kept spinning in circles with excitement. He is cute, Jacob said. He has a lot of energy, I replied. Maybe a bit too much for our first day back into dog life. Further down, we saw an older brown dog with a graying muzzle lying on a blanket, watching us with calm, gentle eyes. That is Grady, Tyler said. He is about 9. He is a sweet old boy, good with kids, but he has some arthritis. He might not be up for running around too much. Lily crouched down beside his kennel, pressing her hand lightly against the metal. Hi, Grady, she said softly. The dog's tail thumped quietly against the blanket. For a moment, I thought I saw Daisy in the way he lifted his head, the slow, hopeful movement that said he still believed good things might happen. My heart gave a little pang. We can come back to him, I told Lily gently. Let us see everyone first. We continued on. There were dogs of all shapes and sizes, a shy white American pit bull mix who hid behind her bed, peering out nervously, a small tan dog who barked incessantly, bouncing on delicate legs, a pair of bonded brothers who pressed themselves together, looking at us with matching brown eyes. Each one tugged at something in me, but none of them felt like the right fit yet. As we reached the end of the row, Tyler stopped and gestured toward a kennel tucked in the corner, slightly separated from the others. This guy just came up for adoption a few days ago, he said. He is a little different from the others, but he is really special. Inside the kennel, on a soft blue blanket, sat a golden retriever dog. He was not jumping or barking like the others. He simply sat, watching us with a quiet intensity that made it feel like he was trying to memorize our faces. His ears perked up when he saw the kids, and his tail gave a hopeful little wag. Oh, Lily breathed. Look at him. He is cute, Jacob added, tilting his head. What is his name? Right now, we are calling him Teddy, Tyler said. But you could rename him if you adopted him. He came in as a stray. Animal control found him wandering in a neighborhood a few towns over. He was in rough shape at first, underweight, dirty, and, well, he has no teeth. No teeth? I repeated, surprised. Tyler nodded. Yeah. The vet thinks he is around 8 or 9 years old. At some point before he got here, all of his teeth were removed. We are not exactly sure why. It could have been due to severe dental disease or neglect. But he manages okay. He eats soft food, and he is very gentle. He cannot really bite, obviously, so he is pretty safe around kids. But some people see senior dog with no teeth and move on quickly. He said it with a kind of resigned sadness, as if he had seen this happen many times. I realized then that Teddy's kennel did not have the colorful "Adopt Me" sign that some of the younger dogs had. Just a plain white card with his basic information. Male, small mix, estimated 8 to 9 years old, neutered, vaccinated. "Has anyone been interested in him?" I asked. Tyler hesitated for a moment. "A few people have looked," he said. "But once they hear about the teeth and his age, they usually decide they want someone younger. Puppies and young dogs get adopted much faster. Older dogs, especially ones with medical issues or missing teeth, tend to stay longer. Sometimes a lot longer." I looked back at Teddy. He was still watching us, tail now softly sweeping back and forth each time Lily shifted closer to the gate. His eyes were not sad exactly, but they held something that pulled at me. It was as if he had known disappointment so many times that he had learned to keep his hope small and quiet, so it did not hurt as much. "Can we meet him?" Lily asked, her voice hopeful but gentle. Tyler smiled. "Of course. Let me grab a leash and we can take him to the visitation room." As he walked away, I glanced at Adam. His expression was thoughtful, his brow furrowed slightly. "A toothless dog," he said quietly. "That is not something you see every day." "No," I agreed, "but there is something about him." "You like him?" Adam asked. I took a breath, looking back at Teddy. The little gray dog was still sitting calmly, his eyes moving from me to the kids and back again, as if he were trying to decide whether this was another moment that would pass him by. "I do not know yet," I admitted, "but I want to give him a chance. Besides, we said we were just looking. Meeting him cannot hurt." A few minutes later, Tyler returned with a simple red leash in his hand. He opened the kennel door slowly and crouched down, speaking to Teddy in a soft voice. "Hey, buddy," he murmured. "We are going to go meet some friends, okay?" Teddy stood up, his movements careful and measured. Up close, I could see that his coat was a bit rough and that his muzzle had gone gray with age. When he opened his mouth to pant, I noticed the emptiness where his teeth should have been. It gave his face a slightly unusual look, his lips folding inward in a way I was not used to seeing on a dog. But his eyes were deep and warm, filled with a mix of curiosity and something like cautious hope. Tyler clipped the leash onto Teddy's collar and led him out of the kennel. The little dog walked beside him without pulling, his steps small and deliberate. When he reached us, he paused and looked up at each of us in turn. His tail wagged once, twice, and then settled into a slow, steady rhythm. Lily crouched down first, holding out her hand carefully. "Hi, Teddy," she said softly. "I am Lily." Teddy sniffed her fingers, then gently nudged his head under her hand, as if he were asking her to pet him. Lily's face lit up. "He likes me," she whispered. Jacob stepped forward next, his movements a little more hesitant. "Hey, Teddy," he said. "I am Jacob." Teddy glanced at him, then took a small step closer, as if to say, "I see you too." He did not jump or bark or act wild. He was simply present, calm and polite in a way that made my chest feel tight. As we walked down the hall toward the visitation room, Teddy trotted between the kids, his tail swaying gently. I trailed slightly behind, watching the three of them together. In that moment, something inside me shifted another small inch. The visitation room was a small, quiet space with a few chairs, a bench, and a box of toys in the corner. Tyler unclipped Teddy's leash and closed the door behind us. "You can spend some time with him," he said. "I will check back in a little while. If you have any questions, just let me know." When he left, the room felt almost peaceful, the noise of the kennels now a muted hum behind the closed door. Teddy stood near the center of the room, looking around uncertainly for a second, before Lily sat down on the floor, and patted the space beside her. "Come here, Teddy," she said gently. Teddy hesitated, then walked over, his paws making soft sounds on the linoleum floor. He lowered himself carefully beside her, leaning slightly against her leg. Lily beamed and stroked his back, her fingers moving slowly through his wiry fur. Jacob sat down on Teddy's other side, reaching out to scratch lightly under his chin. "He is so gentle," Jacob said, his voice full of quiet wonder. "I thought he would be more nervous." "He probably has seen a lot," I replied, lowering myself onto the bench. My knees popped a little in protest, reminding me that I was not as young as I used to be. But sometimes, the dogs who have been through the most are the ones who know how to be the calmest when they finally feel safe. Adam sat next to me, his elbows resting on his knees. He watched the kids and Teddy for a moment, then let out a soft breath. "Look at him," he said. Teddy had closed his eyes halfway, leaning more of his slight weight against Lily's leg as she continued to pet him. Every so often, his tail would give a small wag, as if he could not quite contain his contentment. "Do you think he knows we are talking about him?" Lily asked, giggling. "I think he knows he is not alone," I replied, "and I think that means a lot." "Mom," Jacob said after a moment, "can we ask about his story? Like where he came from?" "We can definitely ask," I said. "But sometimes they do not know much." Lily nodded, her gaze never leaving Teddy's face. "I just want to know who did not want him," she said softly. "I mean, I can see he is older, and he does not have teeth. But he looks so sweet. How could nobody want him?" That question hung in the air for a moment. I did not have a good answer. I thought about all the times people chose new, shiny things over older ones. How easy it was to overlook something that had a bit of wear, a few scars, or signs of age. I thought about how even in neighborhoods like ours, where the houses all looked similar and the driveways were lined with cars, there were still things, and sadly, sometimes living beings, that people decided were no longer convenient or appealing. A few minutes later, Tyler returned and leaned against the doorframe, watching quietly as Lily and Jacob continued to pet Teddy. "How is everyone doing in here?" he asked. "We like him," Lily said immediately. "He is really calm." "He is a good boy," Tyler agreed. "Do you want to know more about him?" I nodded. "If you know anything, yes, please." Tyler came into the room and sat on the chair across from us. "Like I said, he came in as a stray," he began. "Animal control picked him up in a residential area. A white American neighbor called because they had seen him wandering around for a few days, sleeping under a porch. When they brought him in, he did not have a collar or microchip. His fur was matted, he was underweight, and his mouth was in bad shape. When our vet examined him, they found that most of his teeth were either already missing or too damaged to save, so the decision was made to remove the remaining ones for his comfort. We do not know what his life was like before, but based on his condition, it probably was not very easy." I glanced at Teddy, imagining him curled up under a porch, alone and hungry. The thought made my chest ache. "How long has he been here?" I asked. "A few months total," Tyler replied. "He spent some time in medical care and then in a foster home while he recovered from his dental surgery. The foster was a white American woman from the next town over who said he was very gentle and quiet. Once he was medically cleared, he came back here to go up for adoption. But like I mentioned earlier, older dogs have a tougher time getting picked, especially when there is something unusual about them, like missing teeth. A lot of people want a dog that looks a certain way, or that will be able to play fetch for hours, or go on long hikes. They see someone like Teddy, and assume he is going to be too much trouble or not live long enough to make it worth it. The phrase, "make it worth it," made my stomach tighten. I looked down at Teddy, who was now resting his head lightly on Lily's knee, his eyes closed. He seemed so content to simply be near us, as if the idea of someone sitting beside him in a quiet room was a gift. "What kind of care does he need?" Adam asked, his tone practical. "He eats soft food," Tyler explained. "Canned food or kibble that has been soaked. He cannot chew bones or hard treats, but he can still enjoy certain things, like soft chew snacks. He might require a little more help as he gets older, maybe some joint supplements if arthritis develops, regular vet checks, that sort of thing. But overall, he is pretty easygoing. He does not need long runs. He is more of a short walk and then couch cuddle kind of guy." Lily's eyes shone. "That sounds perfect," she said. "We can cuddle him all the time." Jacob nodded in agreement. "He could sleep on my bed," he said. "Or we could take turns." Adam glanced at me, raising his eyebrows in a silent question. I could sense the same conflict in him that I felt growing in myself. We had come here just to look, to see what it might feel like to be around dogs again. We had not planned on falling for a small, toothless senior dog in a quiet shelter room on a Saturday morning. "He has had a tough road," Tyler added gently, "but he still trusts people. That is pretty special." I swallowed and nodded, feeling a rush of emotion I tried to keep from spilling over into my voice. "Thank you," I said. "We just need a little time to talk as a family." "Of course," Tyler replied, standing up. "Take all the time you need. I will be just outside if you have any questions." When the door closed behind him, the room felt quiet again. Teddy shifted slightly, opening his eyes and glancing around as if checking to see if anything had changed. Lily scooted closer and wrapped her arms around him carefully. "Mom," she said softly, "I know we said we were just looking, but I really like him. He reminds me of Daisy, but also not. He is kind of his own little person." Jacob nodded. "I like him too," he said. "He is not wild. He is just nice." Adam ran a hand through his hair, a habit he had when he was thinking hard. "I like him," he admitted. "I really do. But we should talk about what adopting an older dog means. We need to think about vet bills, how long we might have with him, things like that." I appreciated that he was thinking logically. Someone had to. But as I watched Teddy lean into our children, his eyes soft and trusting, I felt something deeper than logic stirring inside me. I remembered the emptiness in our house without Daisy, how I had avoided looking at the spot where her bed used to sit. I thought about how quiet the evenings had become, how often I caught Lily looking at photos of Daisy on my phone, or how Jacob sometimes still set aside a piece of his sandwich out of habit, as if saving it for a dog who was no longer there. "We always knew any dog we adopted would not live forever," I said finally. "Even Daisy did not. We had a good long time with her, but it still hurt when she was gone. If we adopt a puppy, we go into it knowing that someday we will have to say goodbye. It is the price we pay for all the years in between. With Teddy, maybe that time is shorter, but that does not mean it matters less." I paused, taking a breath. "Maybe it means that whatever time we do have with him is even more important." Lily nodded vigorously, hugging Teddy a little tighter. "We could make his last years the best ones he has ever had," she said. "He could sleep on couches and have soft blankets and never, ever be alone under a porch again." Jacob's voice was quiet when he spoke. "If we do not take him," he said, "do you think someone else will?" That question lingered in the air like a soft echo. We did not know how many people passed by Teddy's kennel each day, glancing at the gray dog with no teeth and moving on. We did not know if another family would see past his age and his unusual smile to the gentle heart beneath. We could only make a decision for ourselves. Adam looked from the kids to me, then down at Teddy, who was now gazing up at us, as if waiting for some silent verdict. "If we adopt him," Adam said slowly, "we are making a promise to him. We are saying that no matter what happens, he is part of our family. We will not change our minds if things get hard or if vet bills come up." "I know," I said. "We did that with Daisy. We can do it again." I reached out and rested my hand lightly on Teddy's back. His fur was coarse but warm under my fingers. He glanced up at me, then gave a tiny, shy wag of his tail. In that small movement, I felt something like a question. "Are you my people?" I thought of our house back in our Ohio neighborhood, with its tidy lawn and the empty corner where Daisy's bed once sat. I imagined a new bed there, a soft one, with a little gray dog curled up in it, snoring softly without teeth. Finally safe. I imagined him walking down our quiet sidewalks on a leash, stopping to sniff the grass, the kids laughing beside him. I imagined him greeting us at the door, not with wild jumps, but with that quiet, hopeful look he wore now. Time seemed to stretch in that small room, the sounds of the shelter fading to a distant murmur. I knew this was one of those moments in life that might not look dramatic from the outside, but would shape everything that came after. One decision, one small dog, one open door. I looked at Adam. "What do you think?" I asked. He held my gaze for a long moment, then glanced at Lily and Jacob, at their hopeful faces, and the way their hands rested so gently on Teddy's fur. He sighed, but it was not the sigh of resignation. It was the sound someone makes when they decide to step into something unknown because their heart has already moved ahead. "I think," he said slowly, "that nobody else has seen him the way we do right now. And maybe that means something." Teddy's tail thumped again, just once, against the floor. It was a small sound, but it felt like the first note of a new song beginning to play. Soft, hesitant, but full of possibility. I did not know yet exactly what we would say to Tyler when he came back into the room, or how the rest of the day would unfold. I did not know what challenges might come with a toothless older dog who had already lived a life we would never fully understand. All I knew was that in this quiet room, in a small shelter in the United States, surrounded by my white American family, a little gray dog had settled himself against our children as if he had been waiting for them all along, and my heart was already beginning to answer the question in his eyes. When Tyler opened the door again a few minutes later, Teddy lifted his head, but did not move away from Lily and Jacob. That simple choice did something to my heart. I took a slow breath, feeling like I already knew what I was about to say, even before the words formed. Tyler leaned against the doorframe and gave us an encouraging look. "How is everything going?" he asked. Adam glanced at me, and I could see that he was leaving the final decision in my hands, even though we were in this together. It was not that he did not have an opinion. It was that he respected the way I weighed these moments that touched our family. I looked at Teddy, then at our kids, and then back at Tyler. "If we decide to adopt him," I said carefully, "what would the process look like?" Lily's breath caught. Jacob straightened up, his hand still resting gently on Teddy's back. Tyler's face brightened. "It is pretty simple," he said, coming fully into the room. "We will go over his medical records with you, talk about his needs, and have you fill out an adoption application if you have not already. We will ask a few questions about your home and lifestyle, and then, if everything looks good, we can finalize the adoption." There is an adoption fee, but that helps cover the cost of his care and lets us help more dogs. Would we be able to take him home today? Adam asked, his voice steady but cautious. If it all checks out, yes, Tyler replied. He is ready to go. He has been waiting a while. I could almost feel the kids vibrating with silent excitement beside Teddy. I thought about the empty corner in our home, about the soft space that grief had left in each of us. I thought about how Daisy had once been a dog waiting for us somewhere, before we ever knew her name. We would like to start the adoption process, I said quietly. For Teddy. Lily and Jacob let out soft gasps, trying to contain themselves. Teddy, unaware of the words but sensing a change in the air, shifted closer to them and rested his head on Lily's leg again. Tyler smiled. That is wonderful, he said. Let me grab the paperwork. While he was gone, Adam turned to me. Are you sure? He asked. He was not trying to talk me out of it. I could hear that. He just needed to be sure we were stepping forward with our eyes open. No, I admitted softly. I am not sure how everything will go, but I am sure of how I feel when I look at him, and I am sure that we are capable of loving him well, however long we have. Adam nodded slowly, his gaze drifting to Teddy. The little dog gazed back at him with quiet trust, as if he had already accepted us. Okay, Adam said. Then we are doing this. When Tyler returned, he had a stack of papers on a clipboard and a folder in his hand. He sat down across from us and went through everything step by step, patiently answering our questions. He explained Teddy's dental surgery again in more detail, the medications he had been given, the recommended food, and the signs of pain or discomfort we should watch for as he continued to age. He told us that Teddy had tested well with other dogs and with children in the foster home. He tends to be cautious around big, sudden movements, Tyler said, probably because of whatever he went through before. But once he understands that he is safe, he attaches pretty deeply. Those words caught my attention. Attaches pretty deeply. I glanced at Lily, who was absently stroking Teddy's ears, and Jacob, who had shifted into a cross-legged position to be closer to Teddy's side. I wondered if, in a few months, I would be seeing the same picture in our living room instead of a shelter visitation room. The adoption fee was manageable, especially compared to what I knew the shelter had spent on his medical care. We signed the forms where Tyler indicated, our names in ink turning the moment from a feeling into something official. Adam and I each held the pen at different points, our signatures sitting side by side like they had on so many other important documents in our life together. Our marriage license, our mortgage, school forms for the kids. Now this. One more shared promise. When everything was signed, Tyler handed us a folder with Teddy's records. Congratulations, he said with a genuine smile. You have just adopted a very special dog. Lily let out a soft, delighted laugh. Jacob grinned so wide it made his cheeks round. I felt my eyes sting, but I blinked back the tears. This was a happy moment, and I wanted to take it in fully. Does he need anything before we take him home? I asked. He already had breakfast, Tyler said. We will send you home with some of the food he has been eating, so you can switch him over slowly if you choose a different brand. You will also get a little blanket that smells like this place. It can help him feel more secure in his new home. That detail moved me more than I expected. There was something gentle about the idea of bringing a familiar scent into a strange place for Teddy's sake. It reminded me of how I used to tuck a small blanket from home into Lily's preschool cubby when she first started going to school, so she could hold on to it if she felt sad. Thank you, I said, meaning it. We stepped back into the kennel hallway briefly so Tyler could detach Teddy's name card from his kennel. The noise washed over us again, the barking echoing around us. As we walked past, I realized that for all the dogs we had just seen, only one would be leaving with us today. The thought made my heart ache for the ones we were not taking. But I also knew that we could not save them all. We could save one. And today, that one was Teddy. At the front desk, Debbie processed the final steps of the adoption. She smiled broadly when she saw Teddy at our side. "So, he is going home with you?" she asked. "Yes," I said. "We could not leave him here." She reached over the counter to scratch Teddy gently behind one ear. "You are a lucky boy," she told him. "We have been hoping someone would see how special you are." Then she looked at us. "You are doing a good thing. Senior dogs need people like you." I did not feel like we were doing something heroic. It felt more like we had stumbled into a moment and listened to what our hearts were trying to tell us. Still, it was nice to hear. Outside, the air felt cooler than it had when we first walked into the shelter. Maybe it was just that everything looked sharper now that our decision was made. The kids held Teddy's leash carefully, taking turns as we crossed the parking lot toward the van. Teddy walked with small, careful steps, glancing up every so often, as if making sure we were still beside him. At the van, we had a brief, practical moment of figuring out where he should ride. In the end, we laid an old beach towel on the floor in front of the second row of seats and helped him settle there. Lily and Jacob buckled in, leaning forward as far as their seatbelts would allow to keep him company. As Adam pulled out of the parking lot, I twisted in my seat to look back. Teddy was lying down now, his body relaxed but his eyes still alert, watching the kids. Every few seconds, his tail moved in a soft, slow sweep against the towel. "Do you think he knows he is coming home with us?" Jacob asked. "I think he knows something is different," I replied. "Dogs are very good at noticing changes." Adam glanced at Teddy in the rearview mirror. "Well, buddy," he said softly, "welcome to the Thompson family." The drive home felt longer than the trip to the shelter had, although the route was exactly the same. There was more to think about now. I mentally planned our afternoon. We would stop at the pet store to pick up a bed just the right size for her, some canned food and soft treats, a new collar, and a tag with our phone number and address. We would show him around the house slowly, let him sniff everything, and make sure he knew where his food and water would be. We would walk him in the backyard on a leash first, to see how he handled the space. As we drove down the familiar streets of our neighborhood, I wondered how our neighbors would react when they saw us walking a small gray dog instead of the golden retriever they had known for years. Some of them had brought over casseroles when Daisy died, leaving them on our porch with little notes. Others had simply given sympathetic nods when they saw us outside without her. How would they react to Teddy, with his missing teeth and older, smaller frame? I hoped they would see what we saw, a quiet, patient dog deserving of love. We decided to stop at the pet store before heading home. The pet store was in a small shopping center not far from our house, nestled between a grocery store and a coffee shop. When we pulled into the parking lot, Teddy lifted his head and looked around, sniffing the air through the cracked window. Inside the store, the sounds and smells hit me all at once. The murmur of conversation, the faint squeak of toys being tested in a nearby aisle, the scent of kibble and treats, and something slightly medicinal from the grooming section. A white American woman at the register glanced up and smiled when she saw Teddy. "Ah, what a cutie," she said. "Is he new?" "We just adopted him from the shelter," I said. "His name is Teddy. He is older and does not have teeth, so we are here to get some things he can use comfortably." "That is wonderful," she said with a warm smile. "I am a white American who has adopted dogs too. Older dogs are the best. Let us know if you need help finding anything." The kids were in heaven. They darted from aisle to aisle, holding up beds and blankets, debating which color would look best in our living room. Teddy walked calmly between them, pausing to sniff the corner of a display or a low shelf when something caught his interest. We settled on a soft, round bed in a soothing blue color and a light gray blanket that felt gentle to the touch. For food, we picked out a high-quality canned formula designed for senior dogs, as well as some small, soft treats. We chose a simple teal collar and a matching leash, and the kids took turns deciding what kind of tag to get. In the end, we picked a silver bone-shaped tag. At the engraving machine, Lily typed in Teddy on one side and our phone number and address on the other. Watching the machine carve his name into the metal, I felt a tiny thrill. It made everything feel even more real. As we drove the short distance from the pet store to home, the van felt packed with possibility. A small dog, a bed, a blanket, food, treats, a tiny clinking tag ready to hang from a new collar. Our life was about to change in ways we could not yet fully see. When we pulled into our driveway, I had a brief flash of memory of Daisy racing to the door to greet us whenever we came home. The pang that followed was softer this time, softened further by the sight of Teddy watching the house through the window, his head tilting slightly, as if trying to understand what this new place was. We helped him out of the van and let him stand for a moment on the front walk. He sniffed the air, the grass, the steps. Our house is a simple two-story, with beige siding and white trim, not unlike many of the other houses on our street. A small maple tree stands in the front yard, its leaves turning warm colors in the fall. Today, the yard looked the same as always, but I saw it through Teddy's eyes now. This would be his territory, his safe place. Inside, the house smelled faintly of coffee and laundry detergent, a familiar blend that made me feel grounded. We had tidied up that morning, more out of habit than expectation, but now I was glad we had. The living room was welcoming, with its soft couch, family photos on the walls, and a sturdy rug in warm tones. We placed Teddy's new bed in the corner where Daisy's had once been, near a spot where sunlight often pooled in the afternoon. For a brief moment, my chest tightened at the memory. But then Teddy walked over and sniffed the bed, turned in 2 small circles, and settled down. That sight eased something inside me. It was as if the house had been waiting for that spot to be filled again. "Do you like it, Teddy?" Lily asked, kneeling beside him. Teddy looked up at her, his tongue peeking slightly from his mouth due to the missing teeth, and gave a small, contented sigh. "I think that is a yes," Jacob said. We gave him some water first, placing the bowl near his bed so he would not have to go far. He lapped at it carefully, his tongue moving in a slower, more deliberate way than a younger dog's might. Then we opened a can of his new food and spooned it into another bowl. The smell was strong, but not unpleasant. Teddy approached it with interest, sniffed, then began to eat. He did not gulp it down. Instead, he ate steadily, taking his time. Watching him, I felt a quiet relief. There was something reassuring about seeing a dog eat well in a new place. It was a sign that he felt safe enough to focus on such an ordinary but important task. After he ate and drank, we clipped his new collar and tag around his neck, adjusting it so it was snug but comfortable. The small bone-shaped tag hung down, catching the light when he moved. "He looks so official," Adam joked. "Like he has always belonged here." The afternoon unfolded gently. We took Teddy out into the backyard on a leash, letting him explore the grass and the fence line. He sniffed slowly, pausing often to take in each new scent. When a distant siren sounded from a nearby road, he froze briefly, his body tensing. I watched him carefully, ready to kneel beside him if he needed reassurance, but after a moment he relaxed again and continued his exploration. "Do you think something happened to him when he heard sirens before?" Jacob asked in a quiet voice. "Maybe," I said, "or maybe he is just curious. We do not know his whole story." That truth settled over us. There were years of Teddy's life that would remain a mystery, chapters we would never read. All we could do was make sure the chapter we were starting today was filled with as much kindness as possible. Inside, the kids introduced Teddy to every room as if they were giving a tour to a visiting relative. "This is the kitchen," Lily told him, as if he could understand every word. "You cannot have chocolate, but sometimes you might get a little piece of cheese." "This is the hallway," Jacob added solemnly. "It is kind of boring, but sometimes Mom drops socks here when she is doing laundry." They led him upstairs carefully, one step at a time, watching to make sure he could handle the stairs. He went slowly but managed well, his nails making a soft tapping sound on the wood. In each bedroom, he sniffed the corners and the edges of the beds, taking in the scent of our family. When they showed him our room, he lingered by the spot where Daisy's old dog bed had once been. The space had been empty for months, and I had avoided putting anything there. Now I felt a small sense of peace watching Teddy sniff that area and move on, as if acknowledging that another dog had been loved there before him. The rest of the day passed in small, comforting routines. Teddy dozed in his new bed while I started dinner, the sounds and smells of cooking drifting through the house. Adam checked the fence in the backyard to make sure there were no gaps. A small dog could slip through. The kids colored pictures at the dining table, glancing over at Teddy every few minutes, as if afraid he might vanish if they stopped looking. At one point, our neighbor, a white American man named Rick, who lived 2 houses down, knocked on the door to return a ladder he had borrowed earlier in the week. When I opened the door, Teddy padded over to see who it was. "Hey, Claire," Rick said, then paused when he saw Teddy. "Oh, you got another dog." There was a note of gentle surprise in his voice. "We did," I said, smiling a little. "This is Teddy. We adopted him from the shelter today. He is older and does not have teeth, but he is very sweet." Rick stepped inside and crouched down a bit to offer his hand. "Hey there, Teddy," he said softly. "Welcome to the neighborhood." Teddy sniffed his fingers and then moved a bit closer, his tail wagging once. "He seems like a calm little guy," Rick observed. "That is nice. I still miss Daisy, but it is good to see a dog in your house again." "We miss her too," I admitted. "But Teddy needed a home, and we had one to give." After Rick left, I watched Teddy wander back to his bed and lie down again. He was not a dog that filled the space with constant motion or noise. Instead, his presence felt like a gentle weight, grounding and steady. That evening, after dinner, we settled into our usual spots in the living room. Adam turned on a family movie, something light that we had watched before. The kids made a little nest of blankets on the floor near Teddy's bed, insisting they wanted to be close to him. I sat on the couch with a cup of tea, watching as Teddy slowly shifted himself until he was stretched out with his back near the edge of his bed, as if positioning himself to be near us while still holding on to the security of his own space. As the movie played, I found myself glancing back and forth between the screen and Teddy. The rise and fall of his breathing grew more even as he dozed. Every so often, he would make a small, soft sound, nothing like a whine of distress, but more like the sound a person makes when slipping deeper into a restful sleep. I wondered what he dreamed about, Did he relive long days wandering alone, searching for shelter? Or did his mind stitch together new images from the day he had just had, mixing the smell of our house with the feel of his new bed and the sound of the kids' laughter? When the movie ended and it was time for the kids to get ready for bed, neither of them wanted to leave Teddy. "Can he sleep in my room?" Jacob asked. "Mine too," Lily quickly added. "We can put his bed in the middle so he has both of us." I smiled. "For tonight, I think it is best if he sleeps down here," I said gently. "He has had a big day. This is all new to him. Let us let him get used to one space at a time." They both looked disappointed, but then Lily nodded. "That makes sense," she said. She crouched beside his bed and pressed a soft kiss to the top of his head. "Good night, Teddy. You are home now, okay?" Jacob reached out and rubbed Teddy's side in a slow, comforting motion. "If you get scared, it is okay," he murmured. "We are just upstairs." Teddy's eyes flickered open briefly, as if he was trying to understand their words, then drifted closed again. After the kids went upstairs, Adam and I stayed in the living room for a while longer. The house was quiet, except for the faint hum of the refrigerator and the soft tick of the clock on the wall. Teddy lay in his bed, breathing gently, his small body curled into a relaxed curve. "How are you feeling?" Adam asked me in a low voice. I considered the question. I felt a mixture of things that did not quite fit neatly into one category. There was relief that the day had gone smoothly, that Teddy had eaten and explored and rested without any major problems. There was a lingering ache for Daisy, stirred up by the act of bringing another dog into the space she had once filled. But there was also something else, something warm and quietly bright that I had not felt in a long time. "I feel hopeful," I said slowly. "We cannot change whatever Teddy went through before, but we can make sure the rest of his life is different." Adam nodded, his gaze resting on Teddy. "I felt strange at first," he admitted, "like we were betraying Daisy somehow. But watching the kids with him today and seeing him relax, I think she would approve. She was always good at sharing us." That thought made me smile. I could almost picture Daisy, in whatever place good dogs go when they leave us, giving a slow wag of her tail in approval as Teddy curled up in her old spot. Before bed, we decided to take Teddy out one more time. The night air was cool, and the sky above our Ohio neighborhood was a deep, dark blue. A few porch lights glowed on other houses, and somewhere down the street, a television murmured faintly through an open window. Teddy stepped onto the grass and sniffed around, doing what he needed to do before we came back inside. When we returned to the living room, he walked straight to his bed without hesitation and curled up again. I turned off the main light, leaving on only a small lamp in the corner. The room took on a soft glow that made everything feel calm. For a moment, I just stood there, watching Teddy sleep. It struck me then how different this day could have been. We might have stayed home, continuing to live with that quiet emptiness in our house and hearts. We might have gone to the shelter and chosen a younger dog, one that would have been adopted by someone else anyway. Or we might not have connected with any dog at all. Instead, we had driven 20 minutes down a familiar road, walked into a small shelter, and paused in front of a kennel in the corner where a toothless gray dog watched us with careful hope. One choice, one moment, one yes. It had led to this: a new breath in our home, a fresh story beginning, and the gentle presence of a dog who, until today, nobody had wanted. I turned off the lamp and whispered a quiet goodnight in Teddy's direction before heading upstairs. There would be time in the days and weeks ahead to learn more about him, to find out what scared him and what comforted him, to discover his little habits and quirks. For now, It was enough to know that he was here, that he was safe, and that for the first time in a long while, our house did not feel quite so empty anymore. The next morning, I woke up before my alarm, the way I often had when Daisy was still with us, half expecting to hear the soft sound of paws in the hallway. For a second, I forgot what day it was, and then it came back to me all at once. Teddy was downstairs. The thought brought a quiet flutter to my chest. I slipped out of bed, careful not to wake Adam, and padded down the stairs in my slippers. The house was still dim, the early light of an Ohio morning just beginning to filter through the curtains. In the corner of the living room, Teddy lay curled in his new bed, his body relaxed, his breathing slow and easy. When I stepped closer, his ears twitched and his eyes opened, dark and calm. For a brief moment he looked around, as if he needed to remind himself where he was. Then he saw me. His tail gave a gentle, hesitant wag, and he lifted his head, his mouth parting in a quiet pant that showed the empty space where teeth once were. Somehow that soft, unusual smile seemed dearer than any perfect set of teeth could have been. "Good morning, Teddy," I whispered. "You made it through your first night here." I knelt beside his bed and let him sniff my hand again before I scratched gently behind his ears. He leaned into the touch, and I felt him relax further, as if some small knot of worry inside him loosened a little. A few minutes later, I heard footsteps pounding on the stairs. "Is he still here?" Jacob's voice came first, followed quickly by Lily's. "Did he sleep okay?" They rushed into the living room, faces bright with the kind of excitement that usually showed up around birthdays or holidays. Teddy's tail sped up at the sight of them, and he slowly sat up, stretching his back legs one at a time. "He is still here," I said, smiling. "And I think he is happy to see you." Lily dropped to her knees beside him and wrapped her arms gently around his neck. "Good morning, Teddy," she said softly. "How is our toothless little guy?" The nickname came out naturally, and Teddy accepted it without complaint, nuzzling her arm with his nose. Jacob sat cross-legged near the bed, his hand resting lightly on Teddy's back. "We should take him outside," he said. "He probably has to go." It was such a simple statement, but it carried one of the most important parts of bringing a dog into a family: the willingness to show up for the small daily tasks that make up a life together. We clipped on his leash and walked him out into the cool morning air. The sky was pale and streaked with pink, and a light mist clung to the grass. Our backyard in Ohio was quiet, the wooden fence casting long shadows across the lawn. Teddy sniffed around with more confidence than he had the day before, pausing occasionally to look over his shoulder at us, as if checking to see if we were really still there. After he took care of his needs, he stood for a moment, lifting his head slightly toward the breeze. I wondered how many mornings he had spent alone before this, searching for a place to feel safe. Inside, the day settled into the kind of rhythm that would soon feel normal. Breakfast for the kids, coffee for Adam and me, and a small bowl of soft food for Teddy, which he ate comfortably. When he had finished, he licked the edge of the dish with slow, careful strokes of his tongue, then turned toward us with a look that could only be described as zurtful. The weeks that followed brought layers of discovery. We learned quickly that Teddy loved soft things. If there was a blanket on the couch, he would inch his way onto it, one paw at a time, until he was nestled in the folds. If a pillow fell to the floor, he would test it with a tentative paw, then curl up as if he had discovered a new treasure. We also learned that he hated loud, sudden noises. The first time a delivery truck rumbled down our street and the door slammed, he flinched and scurried toward the corner of the room, his body low to the ground. Lily immediately dropped to her knees beside him, speaking in a calm, steady voice. "It is okay, Teddy," she murmured. "You are safe. That is just a truck. It cannot hurt you in here." I watched him slowly relax under her hand, his breathing returning to normal. Moments like that reminded me that love for a dog was not just about walks and treats and photos. It was about teaching a frightened animal that the world could be kinder than it had been before. On our first visit to the veterinarian, we met Dr. Harris, a white American woman with gentle hands and a warm smile. Her clinic was a small building on the edge of town, with a waiting room that smelled faintly of disinfectant and peanut butter treats. Teddy trembled a little when we carried him inside, his paws gripping my arm as I held him. "You must be Teddy," Dr. Harris said softly when she walked into the exam room. "I have heard about you from the shelter." She listened carefully as we described his behavior, his first days with us, and our concerns about his missing teeth and age. She examined him thoroughly, feeling along his spine and legs, listening to his heart, checking his gums and eyes. Teddy stood quietly on the cold metal table, his body tense at first, but gradually loosening as she spoke to him in a reassuring tone. "Overall, he looks pretty good for his age," she said when she had finished. "His heart sounds fairly strong. His joints have a bit of stiffness, which is normal for a senior dog, but we can manage that with supplements and, later on, medication if needed. His weight is improving, and his gums are healing nicely from the dental work. He will need softer food for the rest of his life, but he can still enjoy plenty of things. The most important thing is that he has a stable, loving home. That makes a bigger difference than people realize." Hearing that was like having a weight lifted from my shoulders. There would be challenges. We knew that, but they were challenges we could meet. The kids listened carefully as Dr. Harris talked about how to pick him up gently, how to watch for signs that his joints were bothering him, and why we should never give him anything too hard to chew. They nodded solemnly, taking it all in. On the way home, Lily declared, "He is our soft food, soft blanket, soft heart dog." The description fit him perfectly. As autumn deepened in Ohio, the maple tree in our front yard turned from green to red and gold, its leaves drifting slowly to the ground. Teddy took to walking through them with small, deliberate steps, sometimes pausing when a breeze stirred them into motion. Neighbors began to notice him. Our white American neighbor, Rick, would call out from his porch, "Hey, Teddy," when he saw us pass by, and Teddy's tail would start up its quiet little wag. A white American woman named Carol from across the street stopped us one afternoon while raking leaves. "He is adorable," she said. "Where did you get him?" "We adopted him from the shelter," I replied. "He is older and does not have teeth anymore, but he is the sweetest dog." Carol leaned on her rake and smiled. "Good for you," she said. "A lot of people overlook dogs like that. Looks to me like you won the jackpot." Inside our home, the bond between Teddy and the kids grew stronger with each passing day. When Lily did her homework at the dining table, Teddy would lie at her feet, his head resting on her sock-covered toes. When Jacob read before bed, he would sometimes bring his pillow down to the living room and lie beside Teddy's bed, one hand absent-mindedly stroking his fur as his eyes traced the lines of text. Teddy did not demand attention. He simply received it with quiet gratitude, as if every touch was a miracle he still could not quite believe. One evening, a thunderstorm rolled over our neighborhood, the kind that rattled the windows and turned the sky a strange, grayish green. The first crack of thunder made Teddy jump up from his bed, his eyes wide and his body shaking. He paced in a small circle, panting rapidly, his chest rising and falling in short bursts. Without being asked, Lily and Jacob sprang into action. They grabbed a thick blanket from the couch and spread it near his bed, then both curled up beside him, forming a little circle of warmth and calm. "You are okay, Teddy," Jacob said in a low, soothing voice. "We get storms here all the time. The house is strong. Nothing is going to hurt you." Lily took one of Teddy's paws in her hand gently, her thumb rubbing soft circles over his fur. "If you are scared, you can be scared with us," she whispered. "You are not alone anymore." I turned off the television and sat on the floor a few feet away, giving them space while staying close. Every time the thunder rolled again, Teddy flinched. But over time, his breathing slowed and his body relaxed, pressed between the two children who had decided that his fear was their concern, too. Watching them, I felt a surge of quiet pride. This was what I had hoped adopting Teddy would teach them, that love meant staying next to someone even when the sky felt loud and uncertain. Winter in Ohio brought snow that settled gently over rooftops and lawns, softening the edges of everything. Teddy did not care much for the cold, but he tolerated short walks in a little sweater we bought him, a simple navy garment that made him look even smaller and more endearing. The kids insisted on taking turns walking him through the snow, their boots leaving deep prints beside the tiny marks of his paws. On especially cold days, we would open the curtains and let the sunlight spill into the living room. Teddy would find the warmest patch and stretch out on his side, his body half on his bed, half on the carpet, his eyes closed in contentment. During one of those sunny winter afternoons, I caught myself thinking about the day we first saw him, alone in his kennel at the shelter. The image still tugged at my heart, but now it sat side by side with a new image. Teddy. In our home, his tag gently clinking when he moved, his body relaxed in the knowledge that there would always be another soft bed, another bowl of food, another day where he belonged. Months turned into a year, and then another. With each season, Teddy aged a little more. His movements became slower, his naps longer. Sometimes he would start to stand and then hesitate, as if his joints needed a moment to remember how. We adjusted with him. A small ramp appeared near the couch so he could climb up without straining. His bed was replaced with one that had thicker padding to support his tired bones. We carried him up the stairs at night more often than not, his small body nestled carefully against Adam's chest or mine. The kids grew too. Lily's voice began to change, dropping into a slightly lower register as she moved through middle school into high school. Jacob shot up several inches, seemingly overnight, his once round cheeks sharpening into a more mature profile. With their growing came new responsibilities, new interests, new worries. There were tests to study for, friendships to navigate, questions about the future that had nothing to do with dogs or bedtime stories. And yet, no matter how busy life became, there was always time carved out for Teddy. On the toughest days, after a bad grade, a disagreement with a friend, or just one of those afternoons when everything felt heavier than usual, I often found one of the kids lying on the floor beside Teddy's bed. They would talk to him in low voices, confessing worries they sometimes had trouble saying out loud to adults. Teddy would listen the only way he knew how, by staying, by being a steady presence that did not judge or offer complicated advice. In his quiet way, he became the keeper of their secrets, and the soft place where their scattered thoughts could come to rest. Eventually, time began to catch up with him in ways we could not ignore. Dr. Harris, still kind and careful, started seeing us more frequently. At one appointment, she listened to his heart longer than usual, her brow creasing slightly. "He has a bit of a murmur now," she explained in her gentle way. "It is not unusual for a dog his age. We will monitor it and make sure he is comfortable. When the time comes that his body is too tired, you will probably notice that his energy fades more than before." On the drive home, the car was quiet. Teddy lay wrapped in a soft blanket on the seat beside me, his eyes half closed. I rested my hand on his back, feeling the familiar rise and fall of his breath. "How long do you think we have?" Lily asked from the back seat, her voice very small. I glanced at her in the mirror. She was a teenager now, but in that moment, she looked like the little girl who had once asked if Daisy would be mad if we got another dog. "I do not know," I said honestly. "Dr. Harris cannot tell us an exact time. It could be months, maybe longer. What matters is that we keep making his days good ones. We have already given him more love than he probably ever imagined he would get when he was wandering on his own." Jacob leaned forward slightly, his eyes on Teddy. "Do you ever wish we had adopted a younger dog?" he asked. The question hung there, open and vulnerable. I thought about it carefully before answering. "No," I said finally. "I wish we could have had more time with him. That is true. But I do not wish he were someone else. Teddy is Teddy. Every day with him has been a gift. Even if the number of days is smaller than it would be with a younger dog, it does not make them less important. In some ways, it makes them more precious." As winter turned into spring again, Teddy's body slowed further. He slept most of the day, waking only for meals, short walks in the yard, and moments of quiet connection with each of us. His eyes, though, remained bright whenever he looked at us, filled with a softness that seemed to say that whatever his body was losing, his sense of belonging stayed strong. One evening, as the sun dipped low and painted the sky over our Ohio neighborhood in soft orange and pink, we gathered in the living room with Teddy nestled in the middle of us. Dr. Harris had been by earlier that day. She had examined him, listened to his heart, and then looked at us with compassion in her eyes. "He is very tired," she had said gently. "His heart is working hard, and his body is worn. You have done everything right for him. Now the kindest thing you can do is to be with him, keep him comfortable, and let him go when he tells you he is ready." Those words had echoed in my mind all afternoon. Now, as I sat with my family, I saw the truth of them in Teddy's labored breathing and the way he struggled to lift his head. But I also saw the way his gaze moved from one of us to the next, as if he were reassuring himself that we were all there. We wrapped him in his favorite gray blanket, the one he had claimed early on. Adam sat on the floor with his back against the couch, cradling Teddy's small body in his lap. Lily leaned against one side, her hand on Teddy's chest, feeling each breath. Jacob sat on the other side, his fingertips resting lightly on Teddy's paw. I knelt close, my hand stroking his head in slow, gentle motions. We spoke softly, not grand speeches, but simple truths. "You are a good boy, Teddy," Adam murmured. "You made this house better." "Thank you for being my friend," Jacob whispered. "You helped me when I was scared and when I was sad." "You are my soft-heart dog," Lily said through quiet tears. "I am so glad nobody else took you before we got there." I wanted to say so many things, but when I opened my mouth, the only words that came were the ones that mattered most. "You are loved," I said, my voice trembling a little. "From the moment we saw you in that kennel, you were loved. You are not the dog nobody wants anymore. You are our dog, and you always will be." Teddy's breathing grew shallower. His body grew heavier in Adam's arms, not with the weight of fear, but with the simple surrender of a tired heart, finally able to rest. At some point that evening, with all of us around him, his breaths slowed and then gently stopped. There was no dramatic moment, no sudden change, just a gradual quieting, like a song reaching its last tender note. We sat there for a long time afterward, the room hushed except for the sound of our breathing and the ticking of the wall clock. Grief came in waves, sharp at first, then softer. It was different from when Daisy died, not because Teddy meant less, but because this time we had known from the beginning that our time would be brief. In some strange way, that had allowed us to pour ourselves into each day more fully, knowing how precious each one was. In the weeks that followed, the house felt different again. There was no small dog curled in the corner bed, no soft clink of a tag when someone walked through the room. I still caught myself looking down before stepping back from the sink, half expecting to see him there. The kids felt it too. There were tears and quiet moments and evenings when we sat together on the couch, sharing stories about the silly sounds Teddy made in his sleep, or the way he used to nudge our hands when he wanted more petting. But along with the sorrow, there was something else. A deep, steady gratitude. One Saturday, not long after Teddy's passing, we drove back to the same shelter where we had first met him. We did not go with the intention of adopting another dog that day. Instead, we brought blankets, food, and a small donation in Teddy's name. In the lobby, Debbie recognized us immediately, her white American face lighting up with both sadness and warmth. "I heard about Teddy," she said, coming around the desk to give me a brief hug. "I am so sorry. He was a special one." "He really was," I replied, my voice catching slightly. "He changed our family. We asked if we could help by walking some of the dogs or spending time with the ones who had been there a while. The staff welcomed the offer gladly. As we walked through the kennel area again, the noise washed over us, just as it had on that first day. But this time, it felt different. We knew in a way we had not known before what it meant for a dog to wait behind those bars. Lily paused in front of a tan, graying dog whose card marked her as a senior. "She looks like she could use some company," she said softly. Jacob stopped at a kennel where a small, quiet dog lay curled in the corner, watching us with careful eyes. "He reminds me of Teddy," he said. "Not because he looks the same, but because of how he seems to be waiting." We spent the afternoon walking dogs in the yard, sitting in visitation rooms, and letting them lean against us as we talked to them in gentle voices. We could not take them all home, but we could make a few hours of their day brighter. On the drive back, the kids were quieter than usual, each looking out their window with thoughtful expressions. Finally, Jacob spoke. "I'm glad we did that," he said. "I feel like it is something Teddy would have liked us to do." "Me too," Lily agreed. "He was the dog nobody wanted, and then he was ours. Maybe we can help another dog like that someday." I glanced at Adam, and he met my eyes with a small, knowing smile. We did not need to make any promises out loud that day. We all understood that our story with rescue dogs was not over. It had simply shifted into a new chapter, one shaped by what Teddy had taught us. Months later, as I sit at our dining table in our home in the United States, telling this story for Paws Society, I can see the corner of the living room where Teddy's bed used to be. The bed itself has been passed on to another rescue dog we eventually adopted. A younger one this time, but still from a shelter. Still a dog who needed someone to see them. And yet, in my mind, I can still picture Teddy there, his small body curled into his favorite blanket, his mouth relaxed in that familiar toothless smile. People often ask me why we chose an older dog with no teeth when we could have adopted a puppy or a younger dog with fewer health concerns. My answer is always the same. We did not choose him despite his age and missing teeth. We chose him because of who he was and who we could be with him. He taught our children how to care for someone fragile, how to be patient with fear, how to love without worrying about how much time was left. He taught us, the adults, that compassion is not about numbers or guarantees. It is about showing up, again and again, for a life that might otherwise have been forgotten. When I think back to that day at the shelter, I sometimes shiver at how close we came to missing him. If we had arrived an hour later, if we had lingered too long with the other dogs, if we had listened to the quiet voice of hesitation that whispered about the practical challenges of adopting a senior dog, we might have walked right past his kennel. He might have remained the dog nobody wanted for another week, another month, or longer. Instead, we stopped. We looked. We listened to the small tug in our hearts. And because of that, a toothless gray dog spent his last years not under a porch or in a concrete run, but wrapped in blankets, surrounded by a white American family who loved him deeply. So when you hear the story behind the title, "Nobody Wanted the Toothless Dog Until One Family Walked into the Shelter," know that it is more than a catchy phrase. It is a reminder of how everything can change in a single, ordinary moment. A family steps through a door. A child crouches beside a kennel. A small tail wags in cautious hope. A yes is spoken. Lives are changed. Teddy may be gone now, but his story lives on in our home, in the hearts of my children, and maybe, if you are listening to this, in yours as well. And if you ever find yourself walking down a row of kennels in a shelter somewhere in the United States, I hope you will remember him. Look for the dog who has waited the longest, the one whose fur is a little gray, whose body carries the signs of a hard life, or whose smile is a little different because of missing teeth. That might be the dog who will change everything for you. That might be your Teddy. And someday, you might find yourself telling your own story about the day you walked into a shelter and discovered that the dog nobody wanted was exactly the one your family needed all along.